You're listening to Later with Mo Kelly on demand from KFI AM 640.
The world's biggest selling soprano and legendary Grammy Award nominated artist, Sarah Brightman, is back to spread holiday cheer this upcoming season. Sarah will once again dazzle us with her A Christmas Symphony tour, with its North American leg beginning November 29th. It's coming up. Accompanied by orchestra, choir, and special guests, this enchanting holiday show will feature Sarah performing many of her holiday classics and greatest hits. Tickets are available at sarahbrightman.com. And now she joins me on the show. Imagine that. Miss Brightman, a pleasure to meet you. How are you this evening?
I'm very well. It's lovely to speak to you, Mo. I hope you're well.
I am well, and I've been looking forward to this conversation for quite some time, but I am curious, how does a kid who originally started with dance and piano lessons end up becoming the best-selling soprano in history? Was singing ever your first love growing up, or did you just fall into it?
Do you know, I always loved to sing. My mother said I was kind of singing before I could even speak, but I just thought, at such a young age, I was never able to sort of train the voice, because you shouldn't really train voices until you're like 16. So I did a little bit. So I suppose to fill in, I became a dancer early in life, because you could do that. And I learned acting and all the things within the arts, because I love the arts and I love what I do. So I think it was just following my voice and training and working really, really hard and having a passion for what I do. And I never expected the sort of fame and all the stuff that came with it, but it did. And so I've embraced everything. And I in at my age now, I'm still embracing it and still going through the journey.
Talking about this journey, the holidays can mean many things to people. The holidays can be very personal, but when the holidays become part of your annual tradition and vocation, does it change the feeling? Does it take away some of its magic because you're working most of the holidays? No, because the Christmas show, my Christmas show is very, very personal to me. And it actually started at the beginning of COVID. And I wanted to sort of bring everybody up and all my musician friends that weren't making any money or anything. I thought, I've got to get a smile on everybody's faces. So I thought, it's that time of year, I'm going to put on a Christmas show and put it on online, and people can donate to charities for it. And it became incredibly successful. TV companies wanted to take it on, and so it went all over the world. And then everyone said, why don't you do the Christmas show? So I thought, that's great. And what's beautiful about it is that, I have really taken into consideration how different people feel at Christmas time. Sometimes it's a sad occasion, but beautiful and poignant. Sometimes it's party time. Sometimes people want religious music. Sometimes people just want party music, ballads, everything. So I brought together music for the show, and they've been very responsible about it, which kind of makes everybody happy. And there's beautiful lighting, which brings in the atmosphere of Christmas. And also, I love the holiday season to listen to a beautiful orchestra and a big choir. So I've got that in it as well. And I think it encompasses everything that you want for a musical evening at that time of year. And I love it. I have a great passion for it. How flexible is your set list, as they say? You may be in the mood to sing more religious music, as you made mention of, or you may want to sing more secular, popular favorites. How much flexibility do you have?
There is some flexibility, but obviously because we are, choosing local orchestras that come in, they can only learn so much music for it. And it's the same with the choirs as well. So there's a little flexibility. But what I will say, I wanted to, because when I go to people's concerts, I always want to hear their hits. And so what I've done with my hits, because I don't want to disappoint people, is I brought them in and given them a much more, with the arrangements and everything, a much more Christmassy flavour. So, you could get the Phantom of the Opera, but it's got, different instruments in there, maybe sleigh bells and all sorts of stuff that make it more Christmassy, and many, many others.
As I think about your performances of A Christmas Symphony, I remember there was this particular performance of Pie Jesu, and it made me wonder, as you tour around the world, including your North American tour, which begins November 29th, how do the different venues figure into how your performance may evolve or what you may feel in a given location?
Do you know, this is the beautiful thing about live performances. You never really know how it's going to be. And from the start, you go, okay, this is going to be a different journey. Just go with it. Take in what the audience are giving you or not, depending on the evening. And just you know all the music, you know the songs, you know how it's going to go. Just play with it. And it always makes a more exciting performance, actually, for me, because I don't know what's going to happen.
Not all Christmas or holiday songs may lend themselves to the Sarah Brightman treatment, but are there holiday songs that you just like personally, but may never get around to performing?
I probably think there may be a lot of them. I can't find that in my head. I have probably lists of songs that didn't pass for this particular thing. It doesn't mean that they weren't really good. They just didn't suit this particular type of show. Probably pieces which are need much huger orchestras and choirs and things like that don't work unless you have that kind of situation.
I know when I think of Christmas or the holiday season, I always think of the Christmas dinner. I think of the family gathered round the table, the moment in which we're all together that we probably won't be with the rest of the year. Is there a singular moment that may occupy your mind during the holiday or maybe during your performances?
Well, it's funny you say that, actually, because these songs are emotional for me to sing. They just are, because Christmas is that emotional time of year. And through some of the songs, yes, I do go through moments of thoughts and moments of times that I've had with my family. They can be very happy times. They can be sad times. Sometimes through the songs, I can smell the Christmas dinner, or I can imagine my mother sort of making things and, you know, going back to childhood and when we made Christmas decorations or went and bought them, or we'd go and see Father Christmas or see stuff all of those thoughts always come to me when I'm performing some of these songs.
Thinking about those thoughts, I know in just my limited experience of singing, I may get caught up in the emotion of a moment. And when you sing holiday songs, sometimes you may remember people who have passed on or people that you just miss more generally. Do you find yourself ever struggling with the emotion of the moment while you're singing?
I do sometimes, and I have to, because obviously I have to get my voice out, and so I have to. Sometimes I struggle with that a little bit. There's a beautiful piece I do sing it, which is called Pie Jesu, and it's from a piece called Requiem, and I sing it for the people that have, because we've all lost people in our lives, and holidays always bring that back up to us very strongly, because we'll remember that person being with us. So I do sing that particular religious piece, especially for people that have maybe gone through this.
Sarah Brightman is back to spread holiday cheer this upcoming season, and she'll dazzle audiences once again with her A Christmas Symphony tour, which has its North American portion kicking off coming up in just a few days on the 29th. Tickets are available right now at sarahbrightman.com/tours. Miss Brightman, it's always been a joy to have the opportunity to speak with you, and I hope we get to do it again. Congratulations on your tour, and I wish you nothing but the best.
Thank you so much, and it was lovely speaking to you, and happy holidays.
You're listening to Later with Mo Kelly on demand from KFI AM 640.
And this is going to be a big weekend in the box office. Wicked is expected to do very well, to the tune of maybe of $100 million domestically. And not far behind that, and catching up fast, will be Gladiator 2. Gladiator 2 has had a lot of good reviews and a lot of good publicity in the past 2 days. And I don't know if you've noticed this, but even though Denzel Washington is not the star, in other words, he's not getting top billing. He may be the most well-known actor in the movie, but he's not getting top billing. Most of the stories surrounding Gladiator 2 are all about Denzel Washington. I've learned more about Denzel Washington in the past week and a half than I really want to know about Denzel Washington. There have been stories about his past drug use, how he used to shoot up. It's like, I didn't need to know that. Yeah, for real. There was a story about how he is a very religious person and how that's not somehow popular in Hollywood. He says he doesn't care. But all the stories surrounding Gladiator 2 trace back to Denzel Washington, which means to me that there is a real buzz on this movie. And here's something else, if you haven't paid attention. There's this new category of movies called legacy sequels. What do I mean by that? You have Maverick, Top Gun Maverick, which is a legacy sequel of obviously Top Gun.
Maverick, Matlock.
Same thing. Tomato.
Potato.
Let's call the whole thing off. And you obviously have one, Beetlejuice, and its sequel, I don't know how many years after the fact. And now you have Gladiator, which was in year 2000, and the sequel in 2024. You have Blade Runner, talking about Ridley Scott, so many years in between. There is a new portion of the movie industry, which is going to be churning out these legacy sequels, these sequels with a whole bunch of years in between, even Beverly Hills Cop. You'll see that these are the movies which are going to be focused on in the coming years. Why? Because people are asking for them. They're responding to them, and they're doing well in the box office. Obviously, Top Gun Maverick did gangbusters in the box office. We know that, well, I wouldn't say Blade Runner did great, but it was still well received, at least critically acclaimed.
It wasn't a massive crowd pleaser, but it has really gotten an enormous amount of respect as a quality sequel. It's very well done.
It'll probably turn into a cult classic. It's one of those movies that we'll look back on and say, oh yeah, it just maybe came out the wrong time. It didn't have a great marketing strategy, but it will be better received as years go on. You look at Beetlejuice, obviously that movie did exceptionally well this year. More and more, you'll see movie studios trying to create these legacy sequels, digging in the crates, and maybe finding something that they think is the right time to not reboot, but actually continue the storyline. And that, I think, is attractive to me, if only because I'm tired of prequels. I'm tired of going back to the beginning because you know it only leads to one conclusion. It's nice to tell me about the birth of Anakin Skywalker and how he became Darth Vader, but we know how that story turns out. I would much rather see you push the ball forward and advance the story. And we're seeing more of those movies where they're taking legitimate properties where there is a fan base, but they're giving you something else on top of what you already knew.
You really want to defend those Anakin Skywalker movies?
No, I don't. Those are prequels.
Okay.
That's my point.
Okay.
I'd rather see an actual sequel, what happens down the road. Like, I would not ever want to see a prequel to Blade Runner, even though they're talking about doing it. I don't care.
Well, I mean, there's a whole Blade Runner universe, just like The Matrix, with all sorts of comic and other spin-offs. And, you know, it's hit and miss.
It is hit and miss. And you mentioned Matrix. That was a miss. And that was something they did for streaming. And it seemed to me half-assed. Like, they really weren't committed to it. But to their credit, they did get Keanu Reeves. They did get Carrie-Anne Moss. They didn't get Lawrence Fishburne, which I think was part of the problem.
Oh, you got to have him.
Yeah, you would think, but they didn't. And that's part of the reason I think that didn't do well. But still, there is an acknowledgement that people want to find out what happened to their favorite characters in some of their favorite movie franchises. And it's okay if some 25 or 30 years might be in between. And there's something else, going back to Beverly Hills Cop, or even Coming to America. You may find that that will be the last opportunity to get the gang all back together. As these actors age, you may not have any more opportunities. Now, I don't know what's going to be next for like a Maverick character. I don't know what else you can say. After a while, you think, damn, dude, get out of a plane. I don't know if they would allow you to fly planes for 45, 50 years.
I think in the third Maverick movie, he is denied his VA benefits, and we follow him on his journey through homelessness.
Yeah, he's got to have some PTSD or something. There's no way that he should be still flying jets at 70 years old.
No.
But, we have to suspend our disbelief because it's Hollywood. But I do expect, because we're coming into this segment talking about Wicked and how this other movie, Gladiator 2, is going to do very well this weekend. It's going to be good box office for movie theaters, and I think that's what you're going to need. You're going to have movies outside the summer season, which can really perform, can stay in theaters for more than 3 or 4 weeks, and encourage people, especially during the holidays, to see a movie more than once. I like the original Gladiator. I'm very surprised that they came back and did a sequel, seeing as how they basically killed the most important characters in the first one.
Yeah, there's no basically about it. They didn't really leave you a lot of wiggle room at the end of the first one.
Now, I think they've done some creative retconning with this story about who is actually the son of whom. I don't want to give it away. I've been reading up online, but they're trying to make it where there may be a way that they could extend this into a third or fourth one.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know all the details yet, and I might go see it after work tonight if I finish in time. But we do know that Nick Cave, the musician, the Red Right Hand guy,
yes,
he wrote a sequel to that I think took place in the underworld, and that's not the one we're going to get.
Well, this one is going to make money. All I know that this one is going to make money. And Ridley Scott, the more I see him in interviews, the more strange I realize that he is.
I like him. I like him a lot because he has totally reached the DGAF age.
Yes.
And the stuff you hear him say about people that he's worked
Yes.
with and whose opinion he doesn't give a damn about, I think he's really entertaining. And he's a smart guy as well.
He is. But look, as a creative and a creator, I love what he does. Not everything that he does, but I love that he is still as invested in making quality movies. He's not just mailing in. He's trying to make really good movies, even at this late portion of his career.
Well, he's more of a visual stylist. And there's always this argument that he needs better writers. And if you look at, I don't know, the majority of the Alien movies, you might have a tough time arguing against that. But I still think he is one of the giants. I will watch anything that he does because he's earned that.
And he's one of the few directors, I would say, and I would say this inclusive of people, his contemporaries like Steven Spielberg, where you look at Ridley Scott's career, he has meaningful, impactful movies in each decade of his career. I don't remember the last time, for example, not to pick on Steven Spielberg, that he had something meaningful. Maybe it was War of the Worlds, which was 2005, which is almost 20 years ago.
I don't know. Bridge of Spies almost bored me to sleep.
I saw it, and that's why I didn't include it. It's like, I like the premise, but the execution,
You're being generous.
No, I seriously. And it seemed like at that point, there was a fall off of Spielberg and Tom Hanks. Love them both, but it just seemed like they haven't been able to reclaim their original glory. I don't know. Who am I to even question either of them? But
let people age. It's fine.
No, it's okay. But I'm saying Denzel is aging. He's not aging in the same way. He's still culturally relevant in the way that Tom Hanks hasn't been in quite some time.
What if I were to say to you that Denzel is the black Tom Hanks?
No,
No,
because if you've ever met Denzel,
No.
I think he takes himself far more seriously than Tom Hanks does. Takes himself. Denzel can be very prickly. Very prickly.
That's always a joy in interviews.
Oh, yeah. It's one of those things where I would have to watch a lot of landmines to interview Denzel Washington. I've seen it. I don't think he's a bad guy. I'm just saying you can say the wrong thing, and that interview goes left real quick.
Fun. Always fun.
It's later with Mo Kelly. KFI AM 640. We're live everywhere in the iHeartRadio app. So we know that we're going to get a Rana report on Gladiator, most likely.
Well, that's the plan. But by the way, remember, it's a 2.5 hour movie, and that's already making me mad.
Hey, you choose your poison, okay?
It's not going to be, that Wizard of Oz movie. What's it called?
Wicked.
Yeah, forget it.
You're listening to Later with Mo Kelly on demand from KFI AM 640.
It's that time of year. The 14th annual KFI Pastathon is here. Chef Bruno's charity, Katarina's Club, provides more than 25,000 meals every single week to kids in need right here in Southern California. It's all because of your generosity. We are able to make it happen. There are 3 ways you can help. You can donate now at KFIAM640.com/pastathon. You can shop at any Smart and Final store and donate any amount at checkout, any amount. You can head into any Wendy's restaurant in Southern California and donate $5 or more and get a coupon book for Wendy's goodies. And don't forget the live broadcast. 12/3, December 3rd, from 5 a.m. all the way to 10 p.m. at the Anaheim White House, Giving Tuesday. Come out and see us. Come out, say hello. Come out, donate pasta and sauce and cash donations. 100% of your donation goes to Katarina's Club. We have some special events this week, tomorrow and Saturday. Tomorrow, Tim Conway Jr. will be broadcasting live from 4 to 7 at the brand new Wendy's in Mission Viejo, 23022 Alicia Parkway. Come by, say hello, donate $5, and maybe get a coupon book. In fact, you will get a coupon book. Saturday, Neil Saavedra, Fork Report, will be broadcasting live at Smart and Final in Lake Forest, which is 23631 El Toro Road. I myself will try to get out there, weather permitting. Mark says it's going to be raining possibly tomorrow all through the weekend. So if it rains and I'm not there, blame Mark Ronner.
Don't blame the messenger.
No. You're in control of the weather.
I hate to break this to you, Mo, and I can understand how you'd see the resemblance, but in fact, I am not God.
Damn.
I know. It's disappointing.
My whole world is effed up. It's just upside down. I don't know what I'm going to have to just go home and just sort out the meaning of life now.
We're going to find a way to regroup.
Okay. Well, that's Saturday from 2 to 5 p.m. Rain or shine for Fork Reporter. Shine for me if I'm going to get out there at 23631 El Toro Road. Come by, say hello, make a donation. KFI Pastathon, it's the event that you don't want to miss if you've never been to it. You got to be part of it, which is going to be on December 3rd. I'll be out there. Mark Ronner will not be out there. Tuala will be out there. And all of your favorite KFI hosts will be out there on December 3rd. And if you don't remember any of this, you can always go to pastathon.com or KFIAM640.com/pastathon. And this is the holiday season where thieves, criminals are always trying to separate you from your money. Here are some things that you need to be mindful of, and we'll give you some other tips and tricks on the other side.
The season of giving is around the corner. And that means sophisticated scammers are gearing up to pounce on unsuspecting online shoppers.
I do my research. Like if something doesn't feel right, then I follow my gut feeling.
There's going to be a lot of money flowing around.
According to KTLA Consumer Confidential host David Lazarus, people will spend roughly $240 billion shopping online, which is up 8% from the year before. Anytime you're using your credit card or personal information, you want to go in with your eyes open.
Look up at the little URL at the top where it says HTTP. What you want to see is HTTPS, meaning you've got a secure connection. That means there's not going to be anybody looking over your shoulder as you're making the transaction.
LAPD officers are also concerned about emerging e-commerce crimes and street robberies. This is when a buyer and seller plan to meet up to exchange goods.
Stop right there. Don't try to meet up and exchange goods. If you're trying to buy something off the internet, like on OfferUp or Facebook Marketplace, just say no. Do not. It's like Craigslist, okay? You know how many people have been killed trying to buy stuff or sell stuff on Craigslist? A lot. I don't know how many people, but it's a lot.
This is when a buyer and seller plan to meet up to exchange goods from popular sites like Facebook Marketplace, and then it turns into a sting operation.
See, I said don't try to buy something off of Facebook or Facebook Marketplace. It's like going to a crack house.
Popular sites like Facebook Marketplace, and then it turns into a sting operation.
Some of these robbery victims were told to meet in an unfamiliar neighborhood, location, and they were robbed of their property and money.
LAPD is investigating one case where a suspect uses fake listings for iPhones to lure victims into meeting and proceeds to threaten them with a knife.
You have to assume that if you have to meet in person, it's probably going to be dodgy. And you should err on the side of caution. If I'm going to sell something, it's going to be through a reputable marketplace like Amazon. It's going to be a third party. and you're just going to have to wait for it to come in the mail. I'm not going to meet you in some back alley so you can rob me. I don't care if it's Mark Runner. I'm not going to give him the opportunity to steal money from me or possibly take my life.
Well, you got to meet people someplace well lit and public. I've actually bought a few things from Craigslist and eBay, and just don't be an idiot.
Well, there are a lot of idiots out there, so we have to assume the worst and err on this side of idiocy.
LAPD is investigating one case where a suspect uses fake listings for iPhones to lure victims into meeting and proceeds to threaten them with a knife. This kind of scenario has happened at least 7 times within the last 4 months in the Los Angeles area, and police believe it's happening more often than is actually reported. That's why authorities are asking that people buying and selling online only meet at safe exchange zones, which include the
like a strip club.
That's why authorities are asking that people buying and selling online only meet at safe exchange zones.
Like a gas station late at night.
That's why authorities are asking that people buying and selling online only meet at safe exchange zones.
Like a not a well-lit alley.
That's why authorities are asking that people buying and selling online only meet at safe exchange zones, which include the lobby of your local police station.
I guess technically that's somewhat safe. I mean, yeah, if you want to meet at the police stations, probably not convenient. If you're trying to keep yourself from getting killed, it might do in a pinch. Or how about this? Don't use Craigslist. Don't use Facebook Marketplace. Don't use OfferUp. How about that? If you're actually worried about your safety, don't use these websites where it requires you to put yourself in danger. How about that? If you could just do that, you'll live to see 2025. Maybe, assuming you don't take the metro.
A man of your stature probably doesn't need to buy anything used from anybody.
No, I've purchased used stuff before, but it was from people I knew.
At strip clubs.
I just rented at strip clubs. I didn't buy.
Hello.
The whole point of that is for them knowing when to go home. Yes. I earned that.
Negative.
Stefan thinks so, and he is the final arbiter.
I think you've got a thumb on the Stefan scale there, but...
got a thumb somewhere.
Oh, look at the time.
That's one more. I'll wait.
Oh, come on.
George Norrie, when we come back, he said, what am I doing with these guys? KFI AM 640 live everywhere in the iHeartRadio app.
You're listening to Later with Mo Kelly on demand from KFI AM 640.
Kelly live everywhere on the iHeartRadio app, Coast to Coast AM with George Norrie. He joins me right now. Good evening, my friend.
Mr. Kelly, we've got your favorite UFO topic on for hours, so you'll love it on your way home. And then later on in the show, we're going to talk about some folklore all around the country on Coast to Coast.
Now, I have to say this. I had an off-air conversation with a mutual friend, Marcia Collier, and she said she was going to send you some pictures that she had taken of a UAP. Have you received them yet?
I get 1,500 emails a day. It might be in the batch.
Well, she was talking like she had your number, so, be on the lookout for that.
Okay.
Bye, George.
See ya.
Hey, Mark, you said the movie was 2 hours and 45 minutes. Do you have tickets yet, or you're still considering?
It depends on how fast I can finish up all my official KFI work tasks.
Look, I know you're a night owl and everything, but I don't know how you do it. I just can't watch 2-hour movies anywhere around midnight. I'm not going to make it through. I'm not.
That's not the problem. I think it's 2.5 hours, but it's still long one way or the other. There are showings tomorrow before work, but who wants to wake up at the crack of noon? Come on.
Look, you have a 2.5-hour movie. Let's say it's slated to start at 12 o'clock, midnight. You're not going to get to the beginning of that 2.5-hour movie until 12:30.
No.
So you're looking at 3 a.m.
Easily, yeah.
Then you get in your car and drive home. I can't do it.
Yeah, I might as well not go home. In fact, I think the people at home might prefer that.
But your sleep schedule lends itself to it. Mine does not.
It's just in a death spiral. I don't even know what I'm doing anymore. I have no regular sleep hours. I was up till the daybreak writing a screenplay last night, and that's been happening more and more.
It's hard for me because a lot of my interviews that I'll do for BBC for their morning shows are at 12:30, 1 in the morning, and that's the upper limit of anything that I can do.
What are they, like 8 hours ahead?
8 hours right now.
Okay.
And I'm doing actually one Friday night, turning Saturday morning at 1 a.m. our time. It's all I can do to stay up. But long story short, that's why I am a contributor with them to this day, because a lot of people won't.
Because you're the one who will be up at that hour, yeah.
And they know that they can call on me and we can hook up via Skype and I can give them the commentary about what's happening in the U.S. And if you don't know, usually the BBC, they're about maybe a day or two behind us. What we're talking about right now, they won't be talking about as far as American politics or cultural issues for another day or two.
Well, wait till they find out about that Matt Gaetz.
Yeah, and maybe since it's happening today, by the time I talk to them on Friday nights, which is their Saturday morning, they'll maybe want to talk about it. But it's usually there's a little bit of a lull. They're not they're not as up on it as we are because we're following it all day, every day.
I really enjoy their perspectives on American politics and pop culture, and I watch a lot of their shows. They're on YouTube. People post them on YouTube.
I like it because it gives an outside-in view. We're in it. What we consider to be normal or even odd is very different from what they perceive as an outsider looking in.
Well, I just like they're journalists. They know how to ask a follow-up question.
Well, actually, they appreciate journalism in a different way, in a much more substantive way than here. They're not inundated with what we have as far as cable news. There's not a lot of that. There's like Sky News, which is basically an extension of Fox, but you don't have all these cable news networks with just opinion and editorial leading the way. There's Talk TV and I think Sky News and one other. And I've done them all.
Yeah, our journalists could learn a thing or two from the way theirs ask questions and do follow-ups.
Well, a lot of our quote-unquote journalists, they're performative, and they're not trying to get to the bottom of a story. They're trying to cater to a specific audience. And it's the cart before the horse. It used to be where you would develop the story, tell the story, and then people would come to their conclusion. Now they start with the conclusion, and everything spins back to the singular idea. It's either Trump's fault or it's either the Democrats' fault.
Well, or some of our journalists, especially on television, consider their job to be a delivery device for misinformation that they don't feel required to challenge. And that to me is insane.
Well, it's not insane to me because I kind of know why it's done and where it's done. For example, if you're on MSNBC or Fox News, because they're not different as far as they're both cable news outlets, they're no different than Comedy Central as far as what they're required to do.
What do you mean?
What I mean is they're not held to any FCC standard or delivery aspect of broadcast news. Now, if you want to get in and say that Fox News is much more egregious as far as what they're doing, we can have that discussion. I'm not pushing that aside. I'm just saying as far as the mechanics of what cable news is, it's the same, and it's the same as Comedy Central, where you can have The Daily Show. They're all talking about the same thing, and they're not beholden to deliver that information in any particular way.
You know what's weird is that The Daily Show can be counted on to give you more factual information than a lot of traditional newscasts if you're paying attention to it.
It can, but unfortunately, people don't know the difference between broadcast news and cable news and what the FCC is actually designed to do, who is beholden to the FCC. They don't understand that cable is a private signal. It can do whatever it wants. That's why you can cuss. You can have nudity. You can have lies. You can have misinformation. You have disinformation, largely without consequence unless you stray over into defamation, which is a whole different category.
Yeah, I'm pro consequence. I think at some point we're going to have to corral all that together in one thing with the same regulations, because times have just changed too much. It's not like it used to be when we were kids, where there was just free broadcast channels and PBS.
But the problem is you get into the weeds of quote unquote, this when it does become free speech, because you're talking about cable, which is a private signal, and people have opted in. And I'm saying, hey, I'm paying $7.99 a month for Fox News or MSNBC. I want to be entertained in the way that the, Comedy Central may entertain us, because they're all the same. They're basically comedy networks trying to entertain audiences.
I'm not sure I completely agree with that, and I've got a much broader interpretation than you do and most people of what constitutes the public's airwaves. I think cable's part of that, but that's a matter for debate.
No, and we'll have that debate sometime, just not tonight.
No.
It's Later with Mo Kelly. KFI AM 640. We'll see you tomorrow. We're live everywhere in the iHeartRadio app.
KFI is literally the KFI of talk radio. KFI.
And KOST HD2.
Los Angeles, Orange County.
Live.